So when we think about adolescence, one of the things I like to think about adolescence, it's very much like a second infancy, if you think about the things that have to happen. They're both periods of really rapid growth. They're both periods where you see an increase in conflict with authority figures, because in both cases, autonomy is being increased. Independence is going through the roof. It's a lot like language acquisition, in the way that little kids can learn 2 languages at the same time so fluidly, without even really trying. The amount of social behavior you have to learn during adolescence is overwhelming. And the fact that any of us survived it, well, it's evidenced by the fact that most of you probably don't want to go back to middle school, right? It's usually not a big draw, because it's very hard and you've learned a lot of things. Learning during this period of time is really dynamic. It changes every day. Your clicks change every day. What's expected of you changes every day. The way you look changes almost every day. So you've got to have a brain that's very flexible, that can grow quickly, adapt quickly, and sort of roll with those punches. The idea of a capacity. So we're not born, we don't come hardwired with language. If we came hardwired with a language, we could end up in big trouble, right? So if you're born in the middle of rural Oklahoma and your brain can only speak Mandarin, you might have a problem. So your brain comes ready to pick up whatever language is around you. In the same way, when you become a grown-up, when you enter the dating game, the rules of that dating game, no one's going to sit down and go over an index card with you. You've got to be able to pick them up the same way you picked up the language. You're going to pick up a social language that's going to enable you to be an adult. You cannot do this without experience. You absolutely cannot do this with experience. And this is a whole separate talk. But in young people right now, this is becoming an extremely interesting question. Can you get this experience virtually through social media, or do you have to be face-to-face? Most of the people in this room, for us to feel like we're having experiences with people, we need to be face-to-face. But I would say this one is going to get a little more question over time. So what happens in a nutshell? Basically, the expectations change. I sort of gave you examples of this. We also, in adolescence, one of the things that really happens is the adults in our lives and the peers in our lives have very different thoughts about how they would like us to spend our time or what they would like us to do. And you need to figure out how to balance these things. And sadly, my mom is in the room at the moment, so I can't actually tell the story that usually goes with this. Although I think the statutes of limitations have probably run out. But I'll just say, if every kid was at the library every time they said they were at the library, everyone would have straight A's. But I went to the library a lot, Mom, I promise. Okay, the main point, and this is one of the things that understanding the gendered piece, understanding the motivational aspects, this really helps us. Right now, our teens, they don't get enough practice. They don't get enough experience to fail in ways that are not consequential, that are not earth-shattering, that are not totally detrimental. You need low-cost consequences for trying new things, for taking risks. And I'm actually going to describe a group of people that's kind of risky, and we met 4 of them early on, but who are not averse to taking risk. And those experiences, those stumbles and starts, are critical for learning. So it's actually a good thing. It's a very good thing.